Have you ever noticed that some people seem to attract wealth easily, while others struggle their whole lives and never manage to leave the same place? It may seem like the secret is making more money, but the truth is that it all starts with the way you think. The mindset you carry about wealth can be your biggest barrier or your biggest lever. If you believe that money is bad, that wealth does not match a spiritual life, or that prosperity is only for a privileged few, then you will hardly see financial growth, regardless of how hard you work. But what if I told you that God has a greater purpose for your life, and that prosperity is part of that? The Bible is full of principles that show that wealth and spirituality are not opposites. The problem is not with money, but with what we do with it and how we relate to this powerful tool. Today you will discover how to transform your mindset and habits to build an abundant financial life, aligned with biblical principles. Let's explore the most common mistakes that keep people trapped in scarcity and the truths that set them free. If you feel like you work hard but never get ahead, if you've ever wondered why some prosper and others don't, or if you want to learn how to generate wealth in a fair and sustainable way, then stay with me until the end. What you will learn here could be the first step towards a radical change in your life. Many people live with the belief that money is a problem, that wanting to prosper is wrong, or that being a Christian means accepting a limited financial life. This type of thinking not only stunts growth, but causes many people to reject opportunities that could bless their lives and the lives of those around them. The truth is that poverty is not synonymous with humility, and wealth is not synonymous with greed. God never condemned prosperity. What He teaches us is the importance of using it wisely and responsibly. When we understand that money is a tool, not an objective, we can direct it towards things that really matter, helping others, expanding the kingdom, and living with purpose. But if the Bible talks so much about financial wisdom, why do so many people still face difficulties? Part of the problem is the way we've been taught to think about money. From an early age, we hear phrases like, "Money doesn't buy happiness," "Rich people don't get into heaven," or "It's better to be poor and honest than rich and corrupt." While these statements may have good intentions, they distort the truth and create invisible barriers in our mindset. The Word of God shows us another reality. In Proverbs 21:5 it is written, "Well-laid plans lead to plenty, but those who are in a hurry always end up in misery." This means that wealth is not luck, but the result of planning, strategy, and a correct mindset. The real question is not whether or not you can have money, but whether you know how to manage it wisely. Many work hard, but don't know how to direct their earnings. Others want more money, but haven't yet learned how to multiply what they already have. When we don't understand how money works, we become hostage to circumstances, always waiting for an external change that never happens. But what if you could change that? What if your financial life could be transformed by simply adjusting the way you think and act? The first step towards this change starts with the right mindset. The way we think about money directly shapes our financial decisions. If we believe that money is hard to make and easy to lose, we live in fear and hesitation. If we think that wealth only comes to those who were born privileged, we place ourselves in a victim position and accept scarcity as destiny. But when we understand that prosperity can be built through wisdom, strategy, and biblical principles, we begin to see opportunities where we previously saw limitations. In the financial world, there are clear rules that govern the growth of wealth. Those who learn and apply these rules reap results. Anyone who ignores these principles ends up stagnant. However, just knowing financial strategies is not enough. What really makes the difference is the combination of three essential factors: mindset, skills, and tools. Together, these elements determine our ability to create and multiply wealth. If we look at the lives of successful people, we see a common pattern. They have a growth-oriented mindset, develop skills that generate value, and use tools that accelerate their results. This is the way to build a solid and sustainable financial foundation. Today, we will explore these elements in detail. Let's understand why mindset is the key to everything, how to transform your outlook on money, and which strategies can make your money work for you. At the end of this video, you will have a clear plan to overcome scarcity and build a financially prosperous life, aligned with God's purposes. Step 1. Millionaire mindset. Before anything else, we need to understand that true wealth begins within us. What differentiates a prosperous person from someone who always struggles to pay the bills is not just their salary or family history, but the way each person sees money and the opportunities around them. The Bible teaches us that As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. This means that our internal beliefs determine the results we see in our lives. If you believe that prosperity is a bad thing, you will unconsciously sabotage any opportunity for growth. But if you believe that wealth can be a blessing when used correctly, you will begin to make decisions that will lead you to that reality. Throughout history, we see examples of people who thrived because they had a growth mindset. Joseph of Egypt, for example, went from slave to governor because he understood the principles of administration and multiplication. He not only interpreted the Pharaoh's dreams, but created a strategic plan for Egypt to get through the years of famine without collapsing. This strategic vision made him one of the most influential men of his time. The same principle applies to anyone today. If you want to break out of the cycle of scarcity and start building wealth, the first thing to do is align your mindset with the right principles. Many still believe that making money is wrong or that having a lot of money will take them away from God. However, the Bible teaches us that the problem is not with money, but with attachment to it. In 1 Timothy 6:10, we read that, "The love of money is the root of all evil." Note that it doesn't say that money itself is bad, but rather the love of it. When we place the pursuit of wealth above our faith, we fall into traps. But when we seek wisdom and use money as a tool to fulfill our purpose, it becomes an instrument of blessing. The difference between someone who thrives and someone who is always struggling financially is in the way each person deals with money. Prosperous people see money as a tool for multiplication. They learn, invest, seek knowledge, and are always on the lookout for new opportunities. If you want to experience financial transformation, the first step is to reprogram your mindset. Start by eliminating limiting beliefs about money and replacing them with biblical truths about prosperity. Instead of thinking that wealth is a bad thing, start seeing it as a God-given responsibility to impact the world in a positive way. By adjusting your mindset, you will begin to see opportunities where you previously saw difficulties. Your way of making decisions will change, and the way you handle money will be different. This is the first and most important step towards building an abundant financial life aligned with God's principles. Step 2. The formula for creating wealth. True wealth building doesn't happen by chance. There is a clear equation that governs financial prosperity, and those who understand this formula can transform any resource into something even greater. The formula is simple: mindset versus skills versus tools, which equals assets. This means that your ability to generate wealth depends on 3 fundamental elements: the way you think, the skills you develop, and the tools you use. Many people believe that just earning a good salary is enough to become financially successful. However, if the mindset is misaligned, that money will be mismanaged. How many stories have we heard of people who gained fortunes and lost it all in a few years? The problem was not the lack of money, but the lack of a structured mentality to multiply it. At the other extreme, there are those who have the right mindset but do not invest in skills that can generate value. The Bible teaches us in Proverbs 22:29, "Do you see a man expert in his work? He will be placed before kings. He will not remain among those of inferior rank." In other words, those who stand out and become experts in something will always find opportunities to grow. The third pillar is the tools. Knowledge without practical application does not generate results. Today, we have access to different forms of investment, technology, and strategies that can accelerate the creation of financial assets. Those who understand how to use these tools intelligently build wealth in a sustainable way. The big difference between those who prosper and those who remain stagnant is in the way they use these 3 elements. While some continue to believe that they will only be able to get rich if they receive an inheritance or have a stroke of luck, others understand that wealth is built through strategic decisions, continuous learning, and intelligent use of available resources. If you want to take a concrete step towards financial freedom, start by applying this formula to your life. Work on your mentality. Invest in developing skills that add value, and learn to use financial tools strategically. When these 3 elements are aligned, your assets will begin to grow, and prosperity will become a natural consequence of your effort and wisdom. Step 3. Beliefs about money. The way we see money directly influences our financial decisions. Many people spend their entire lives limited by wrong beliefs, which they have been taught since childhood, and which end up shaping their behavior without them realizing it. There is a clear pattern between different financial groups. Low-income people see money only as a means of survival. Their focus is on paying bills and avoiding debt, but they rarely think about financial growth. The middle class, on the other hand, sees money as an instrument to acquire goods. Most seek credit to buy cars, real estate, or consumer goods, but without a multiplication strategy. The rich have a completely different view. They understand that money is a tool for growth and are constantly looking for ways to transform it into assets that generate even more money. This pattern can be identified in several biblical passages. Jesus illustrated this concept in Parable of the Talents, Matthew 25:14-30. In this story, a master entrusts different amounts of money to his servants and, upon returning, discovers that those who invested the resources doubled what they received, while one of them, out of fear, hid his talent and produced nothing. The Lord then praises those who multiplied the money and punishes those who did nothing. What this parable teaches is that God expects us to be good stewards of the resources entrusted to us. Fear of loss, lack of action, and limited vision about money impede growth. Another big common mistake is believing that large amounts of money are unattainable. Many people look at high values and say, "That's a lot of money for me." This type of thinking prevents you from seeing opportunities and limits your ability to grow. Instead, we need to reprogram our minds to understand that it's not about how much money we have now, but about how we can multiply it. In Luke 16:10, Jesus teaches that he who is faithful in a little will also be faithful in much. In other words, if you learn to manage small amounts well, you will be prepared to deal with increasingly larger amounts. One of the most effective ways to break limiting beliefs about money is to study stories of people who applied correct financial principles and thrived. When we understand that wealth is not the result of luck, but of strategy and good management, we begin to see money differently. If you want to get out of a scarcity mindset and into an abundance mindset, start by identifying which beliefs about money are limiting you. Ask yourself, do I see money as a problem or as a tool? Do I believe that prosperity is something reserved for a few people? Do I associate money with something negative, or do I understand that it can be used for good? By answering these questions honestly, you will begin to notice patterns that have influenced your financial life. And by replacing limiting beliefs with biblical truths, you will pave the way to a new financial reality. Those who truly understand and apply these principles begin to see opportunities where they previously saw limitations. This is the way to transform your view of money and start building wealth consciously and aligned with God's purposes. Step 4. Multiplying money. Many people spend their entire lives believing that the only way to prosper is to save every penny and avoid any type of expense. Although financial discipline is fundamental, saving money without a multiplication strategy does not generate wealth. Money needs to work for you, not just be saved waiting for a miracle. The Bible teaches us that multiplication is a spiritual principle. In Luke 19:12-26, Jesus tells the parable of the 10 mines, where a master gives money to his servants and expects them to make it pay. When he returns, he finds a servant who multiplied his money 10 times, another who doubled the amount, and a third who simply kept the money for fear of losing it. The latter is reprimanded because he did not make the money grow. The teaching here is clear. God gives us resources to be administered wisely and productively. The mistake many people make is believing that just saving money is enough. However, if money isn't making more money, it loses value over time. Inflation, living costs, and the lack of financial growth mean that over the years, the money you have sitting around is worth less and less. Rich people understand this and apply a powerful concept. Money needs to be put into something that makes it grow. Instead of simply saving for the sake of saving, they hold the money until it gets pregnant. That is, they invest strategically so that it multiplies before it is used. This can be done in several ways. 1. Smart investments, such as shares, real estate funds, and businesses that generate continuous returns. 2. Profitable ventures, where money is directed towards creating something that generates more money in the long term. 3. Assets that produce passive income, such as rental properties, royalties from books or online courses. The problem is that many people are afraid to invest because they believe they could lose money. However, it is important to understand that everything in life involves some risk. The real issue is not to avoid risks, but to learn to manage them wisely. Proverbs 13:11 says, "The money earned dishonestly will decrease, but whoever gathers it little by little will have more and more." This verse reinforces that sustainable wealth is built with patience and strategy. It's not about quick wins or fancy schemes, but about applying solid and consistent principles that generate results over time. If you really want to see your money grow, you need to change your mindset. Instead of just thinking about how much you can save, start thinking about how you can multiply what you already have. This is the secret of people who build lasting wealth. Step 5. Creation of offers and strategic investments. One of the biggest financial mistakes people make is trading time for money in a linear fashion. Most work a set number of hours for a fixed salary, which means their income is limited to the amount of time they can dedicate to work. However, those who truly thrive understand that the key to financial freedom lies in creating value and multiplying opportunities. The Bible teaches us in Deuteronomy 8:18, "Remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth." This means that God equips us with gifts, talents, and skills that can be used to generate value in the world, and consequently, prosperity. Successful people don't just work hard, they create irresistible offers on the market. Instead of just selling their workforce, they develop products, services, and solutions that solve specific problems. Let's look at a practical example. Imagine a businessman who constantly needs to travel by plane and spends thousands of dollars a year on tickets. Instead of seeing this as an inevitable cost, he decides to turn this expense into a business opportunity. So he creates a VIP shared flight program for executives, which generates revenue and covers his own travel costs. What was once an expense has become an investment that brings financial returns. This same principle can be applied in different areas. Those who understand the power of offers begin to create sources of income that do not depend exclusively on available time. This may include create an online course, where knowledge generated once continues to generate profit indefinitely. Develop a scalable business, which can grow without the person needing to be present all the time. Invest in franchises, royalties, or strategic partnerships, which allow money to work on its own. The big difference between prosperous people is not just how much they earn, but how to strategically generate income. They do not depend on a single source of income, but rather diversify their opportunities and make their money generate even more money. Jesus taught us about this principle in Matthew 10:8 when he said, "Freely you received, freely give." This means that everything we receive can be used to benefit others, and in doing so, we are naturally blessed in return. When we create something of value for people, be it a product, a service, or an innovative solution, this is reflected in financial prosperity in a legitimate and sustainable way. The most important lesson here is that money should be seen as a means to impact and growth, not just an end in itself. Those who learn to create strategic offers and invest wisely discover that prosperity is not a privilege for the few, but a direct result of the correct application of financial principles. If you want to experience a real breakthrough in your financial life, start thinking beyond the traditional fixed income model. Ask yourself, how can I use my talents and skills to create value in the world? How can I create something that continues to generate income even when I'm not working? When you adopt this mindset, you will see new doors open and your journey to prosperity will be transformed. The biggest mistake people make when it comes to money is not a lack of work or opportunities, but a lack of knowledge-based action. Too often, we hear powerful truths about financial prosperity, understand the principles, and even agree with them, but we don't apply what we learn. How many times have you found yourself saying, "I need to improve my financial life," but ended up going back to the same old habits? This happens because knowledge without action does not bring transformation. James 1:22 reminds us, "Be doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves." This principle applies directly to finance. It is not enough to know that you need to invest, change beliefs, or create new sources of income. It is necessary to take the first step. Procrastination is one of the biggest barriers to prosperity. Many people put off deciding to invest, learn about finance, or create an action plan because they believe that one day they will do it. The problem is that every day lost is a day that your money could be growing. It is one less day to create the assets that will sustain your future. Proverbs 6:6-8 teaches us a powerful lesson through the ant. "Behold the ant, O sluggard, reflect on its ways and be wise. It has no chief, no overseer, no ruler, and yet it stores up its provisions in the summer and gathers its food in the harvest." This verse shows us that planning and consistent work produce results. If you want to experience real change in your financial life, the time to act is now. What can you do today to transform your reality? Maybe it's starting an investment, cutting unnecessary expenses, or seeking knowledge in financial education. The point is not to wait for the perfect opportunity, but to create opportunities with what you already have at hand. The fear of making mistakes cannot be greater than your desire to grow. Successful people don't wait to have all the answers before taking action. They start with what they know and adjust along the way. The important thing is not to be paralyzed by fear or doubt. Financial success doesn't happen overnight, but with every small decision you make daily, time will pass anyway. The only difference is whether, in the future, you look back and realize that you did something to change, or whether you will remain in the same place. Today, you have the opportunity to start a new path and build a more prosperous financial life aligned with God's principles. The choice is in your hands. If these truths make sense to you, now is the time to act. Don't let this knowledge become just another piece of information stored in your mind. Start putting these principles into practice right now. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to continue receiving content that will help you on this journey. Here we're building a community of people who believe that prosperity and spirituality go together, and we want you to be part of it. And I want to know your opinion. Which of these beliefs about money do you realize you need to change today? Write in the comments and share your experience. Your story can inspire others to also take the first step towards financial freedom. If this video helped you, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Maybe you know someone who struggles with financial difficulties and still doesn't understand that they can live more abundantly. Be an instrument to take this transformation forward. God gave you the power to make decisions and build the future you want. The first step is yours. So what will your choice be today? True prosperity is not just about money, but about living wisely and in line with God's purpose. When we learn to manage what we have well, He trusts us even more. Proverbs 3:9-10 teaches us, "Honor the Lord with your possessions and with the first fruits of all your income, and your barns will be filled to the brim, and your presses will overflow with wine." This means that prosperity is not just a matter of strategy, but also of faithfulness and obedience. When you align your finances with divine principles, you not only experience material growth, but you also find peace, purpose, and fulfillment. Money stops being a constant concern and becomes a tool to serve, build, and transform lives. The journey to abundance begins with a first step, and you have already taken that step today by seeking knowledge. Now it's time to keep moving forward, making wise decisions, and applying what you've learned. See you in the next video. May God bless you and lead you to a prosperous life, full of purpose and achievements.